Welcome once again to the Radical Imagination. I'm your host, Jim Vredos. The Hamptons are internationally thought of as the playground for the rich and famous, the movers and shakers of the country and the world, the privileged and the powerful. A mecca of conspicuous consumption, excess, luxury, and indulgence for the billionaire donor class. It's also been the home for some of our greatest writers, Steinbeck, Heller, Vonnegut, Capote, Dr. and artists such as Pollack, de Kooning, Krasner, and other leaders of the New York School of Abstract Expressionism. Countless celebrities, filmmakers, actors, journalists, musicians, creative folks from all the arts, entertainment, business, industry, and politics have worked, lived, and been inspired by the incredible natural rural beauty of the place with its pristine beaches and picturesque villages. There's a vibrant counterculture of small farmers, fishermen, environmentalists, and activists of all sorts that's evolved and thrives. It's also the American dream writ large, with all that connotates, the foibles, the fantasies, the contradictions, the distortions, the struggles, the poverty, and the racism. It's a microcosm of that larger world beyond its siloed hedges. The real Hamptons includes incredibly wonderful and accomplished people, like my guest today on the Radical Imagination. Dr. Asma Rashid, originally from Florida, and Dr. James Groff, originally from Ohio, met during their medical training in New York and since 2010 have called Southampton their home. Their two young sons attend the one-room Sagaponic Little Red School and love to go fishing and hunting with their parents. Dr. Rashid has a highly successful concierge practice providing medical services to the high net worth and high profile elite. And Dr. Groff is the only dual board certified critical care general and trauma surgeon on the East End of Long Island and provides highly specialized surgical care to patients from the Catholic health system at Northwell and Stony Brook in Southampton. Asma and Jim are part of what I see as the real Hamptons, a group of diverse people who make the community more livable and healthier, more humane and open, and a place that's just more fun. So welcome to the Radical Imagination, Asma and Jim. You do look like a real fun couple, and you add to the wonderful diversity of our community. And I've been out here part-time since, well, a little longer than you guys, 1987. And it's just a pleasure welcoming you to the show and adding this incredibly wonderful dimension to our community. So I want to find out, our audience wants to find out a little more about you two and your practices, your practice. So tell me how you met and how you made your way out here in Southampton and established yourselves as two of the leading physicians in the community.
Well, first, thank you for having us. It's such a pleasure. The intro was flattering.
It was true. It was true.
Well, thank you. And Jim?
Yeah, thanks again for having us on, and it's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure and a blessing to have you both. It really is. And I know that Asma, we're going to be doing another show for our audience here at the end of the month. That's going to be interesting too. We're going to touch on that a little bit, but for right now, we just concentrating on you two. And again, so you met in New York, and you were No,
Jim
go
can
ahead.
tell the story pretty well.
Okay.
All right.
I grew up in Ohio. I went to medical school in Pennsylvania, and then we came here for residency training, which is the
Uh-huh.
training after medical school. I was doing surgery, general surgery then. And
Okay.
back then, that was a long time ago. I was a lot more active. I was running every day, doing triathlons and adventure races and things. And
Whoa.
after work every day, I would go for a run on the beach for 3 or 4 or 10 miles or however far. And I was always looking for somebody to come running with me. And sometimes some people would come and they would never last more than one. And then Asma came. I invited her to come, and she came and she ran with me. And she's the only one who stuck, kept running with me after the first time. And that kind of was the start of everything.
She was the right one right there. So wait a minute. Did you say every night after you would do 3, 5, 10 miles?
Yeah.
I mean, whoa. All right. Well, you said it was a long time ago. You're still doing it. You look great.
I don't do those kind of long runs and long bike rides on the weekends and things anymore.
Well, we attempt. We still
Yeah.
try. We have 2 little boys, as you mentioned, Lake and Liam, age 5 and 7.
Right.
And they're in school, kindergarten and first grade. We do our best. We do our best to make sure that our physical health is coming first.
Mm-hmm.
We recently moved to Watermill, and our 3-car garage has turned into a professional gym.
Yeah.
We bought it as such, and we're taking advantage of it.
Wow. So again, though, back to New York City. You met in New York City, right? So Asma, you moved from Florida. You're originally from Florida.
Yeah. So I did
Okay.
have everything from elementary to medical school in South Florida. Yeah. So my parents are from Palm Beach, Florida. I did undergrad in Boca Raton, Florida Atlantic University, and my medical school and training was in Miami. So, yeah. So we had done so much. I personally had been in South Florida for so long that for an educational opportunity, when the residency was brought to my attention for New York, I just jumped on it. And over a year or 2, I met Jim, and we started running together, and he got me going from 2 miles to
In the city. Now this was in the city, right?
Long Island. This would be Stony Brook, Southampton.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
Northwell,
All right.
that whole system.
Because I'm imagining you two going around the reservoir there in Central Park, but you didn't do that. Okay, in Stony Brook. All right.
But we did do addiction medicine training in New York City with Bellevue Hospital. So during medical training, there's many aspects of it, and you try to go to the best of the best places where you can get the best education.
Right.
So yeah, I've been to St. Barnabas for dermatology training. Quite a few places in the city. So, Michigan, Chicago,
Right.
Ohio. I can name multiple states that we would locate ourselves for about a month or 2 months of rotation and then come back. So yeah, medical school really is just 2 years of medical training where you're sitting down learning books. But the next 2 years are clinical rotations, and that's where you go around different hospitals. So I was trained in Miami Children's Hospital, Mount Sinai Hospital in South Beach, Hialeah. And then, when it comes to residency training, that is when you sort of flock away to what specialty you want. I ended up doing medicine, and Jim did
surgery. I did 6 years of general surgery and then a year of trauma and critical care up in Connecticut, in Hartford.
So, wow.
Yeah,
I'm sort of exhausted just listening to what you've been through here. So, I'm just a mere academic here. I was in one place and for a few years, but no, anyway, no, that's very impressive. No, it seems very, very important for physicians to be trained in such a holistic manner, and correct. And you've incorporated that, it seems, in your practices here in the Hamptons.
Yeah, it makes a difference. I think to be well-rounded, you have to have the right places to be educated from.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting. We'll get into that another time. But my wife has also spent a number of years in Sarasota, and is also. I'm not a big Florida guy yet, but I mean, she's threatening to have us go down to Boca, actually, for a couple months in winter. But no, anyway, I'm teasing here a little bit. I'll enjoy coming. I'm sort of a New York kid who just always was raised with the idea if you go to Florida, it's either to sort of like die or, you know, that's my bite. So anyway, no, it was. I enjoyed my time in Boca. I'm sorry, in Sarasota, but we look forward to hitting the ocean side. Anyway, so that's terrific. All right, so how did your practice get started? Tell me about this boutique service that you offer.
Yeah, so as I said, you have to be well versed in what you're doing and have good training. Being out in the community, I've run urgent cares in Southampton and in East Hampton, done primary care medicine in Hampton Bays and West Hampton. I was a hospitalist for Northwell Hospital, and admitted patients, seen patients in ICU, ER, followed them, taking care of surgical patients. So, as a medical doctor, I worked in so many different realms that I felt that there was a need for more of a personal care. Mm-hmm. And, I was making house calls while working at other places. And eventually it just became more of a demand for my presence to be doing concierge medicine. And we took a risk and we started that a little bit prior to COVID. Yeah. But with COVID, it really just took off. And we did open up another practice in Wellington, which is Palm Beach, Florida. And we're the physicians for the Breakers Hotel. And, we just keep expanding as to the need that needs to be fulfilled. Sorry, my little.
Oh, no, come on.
Son is coming.
The little kid, come on in. Little movie star here. Come on. TV star. No, come on in and out. Say hi. I've seen pictures of both your children. Just adorable.
Hey, do you want to come say hi?
Oh, yeah. Lake was asking if you could. And I said, yes, of course.
Come on, say hi to the audience. Hi. Is mom? Yeah. This is Lake.
And this Blake is coming and he's going to say hi. Come on, Blake.
Say hi.
Next month.
His name is Jim too.
Jim too. Yeah.
Right?
Jim 1, Jim 2. Come on for a second. We'll say hello. I want to ask about his fishing and his hunting.
Oh, yes. Come on. Closer into the right here.
Oh my, what a cute. Oh, look at you. Look at you. Okay. Hello. How you doing? Yeah, you're on TV now. This is going to go all over the world.
You're on TV.
Not we're taping it, but it eventually will go anywhere around the world. So
you were on that we were out on the boat and we were fishing yesterday?
Yeah, but we did not fish.
But I think you had something.
Did you get a robin and a shark?
Yeah.
Wait, I missed that. What did you catch?
A sea robin and a shark.
You caught a shark?
Come with me.
Really? Was Daddy and Mommy with you, or you just alone?
Daddy and Mommy, we were on the boat.
Wow. Oh, so you got a boat too? Okay. I just had a show a couple of weeks ago with Jermaine Owens, who is a fisherman who started North Shore Seafood. And he's been on the North Shore. Hi. Hello there, cutie. Wow, the fisherman. All right. And so you caught a shark. How big was the shark?
It was a like this big. Like this big. This big.
Now, listen, I'm not a fisherman. Your age, when I was your age, this is pathetic. But I was this New York City kid. So my fishing was bringing a little plastic pole that my mother and father gave me to Central Park. I won't even get into it. So there's no comparison. Nor did I catch anything anyway. I put a worm on this thing. It was a joke. So, but listen, it seems like, isn't that a little small to keep? Did you have to throw it back or?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to throw it back.
I threw that
We have to keep the sharks that are
Yeah,
one.
huge.
Really big.
they're huge, huge. And
Like as big as all of us connected.
That's right.
really, okay,
No,
all right.
as big as mommy and daddy. No, as big as and me.
Wow.
No, and mom.
Do you want to tell them about the swordfish?
Yeah,
Sorry, I
and
know
we
we're off track.
No, we're.
caught a humongous swordfish.
That's right.
Do you know, I just was up at Sag Harbor at the farmer's market and I got some swordfish, I swear to God, from Jermaine, absolutely delicious, that he caught himself. I don't know, was it 168 pound? Was
Yeah.
it either a tuna or a swordfish? But yeah, so wonderful. And what sort of hunting do you do? Do you
Ooh, yeah.
That's getting a little exotic there. Or
Well,
what do you hunt in the hunting season? What's
Dear.
deer? Okay, all right. Well,
say thank
Okay.
you for letting me have the screen for a little bit.
thank you. You're a star, and you're terrific. How's school? No, well, actually, school is over. You looking forward for for the fall here? We're starting school in another month. You're back at the Little Red Schoolhouse in Sagaponic.
Red school.
Yeah,
what grade
Sagaponic
are you in?
Red School. I pass it all the time.
Yeah, it's such a cute place.
It is.
Second grade.
You're in second grade.
Right?
All right, we're gonna go back.
All
to
right. Thank you so very, very much.
Say thank you.
Yeah, I bye-bye. Take care. Oh my, how sweet. That's just terrific. All right, well, back to actually he's a natural. He's a natural. All right. I am dating myself here, but I was in
Yeah.
Istanbul
Yeah.
as a kid, as a grad student after my grad training. And I remember on the streets getting shark. They would have shark, tomatoes, and some bread for 12 cents.
Come on.
I swear, this is back in the 70s. And there were dancing bears on the street.
Huh.
I'm not making this up. I wasn't on some hallucinatory drugs either. It was
Sure.
it was fun experience. But that's for another
I
story.
don't think my bag at any grocery store out here is even 12 cents. I'm sure I'm paying.
Yeah, I know. I
50
mean,
to 60
really.
cents.
Well, this was, I guess, I don't know when this was, early 70s or something. But so back to actually the shark is a great segue, right? It's the only species that we know that doesn't have cancer, right?
Actually, we're surprised by that.
Oh, hey, listen, I'm not absolutely certain about that, but certainly powerful. But again, getting back to your work, especially at COVID. Now, for our audience to get an idea here, a lot was happening during COVID, right? And a lot of people made their way from the city and began to settle here or spend more and more time here. So the medical need became greater, and you obviously saw that happening, correct? And so you tried to bring your own skills to the growing population that began to need it, correct? Very naturally.
Yeah, I think it really helped that we were locals and the fact that we had worked in multiple facets of medicine. And the fact that we sort of put on our armor and went out and wanted to make a difference.
Yes.
Because there are wonderful colleagues of ours that themselves were scared to be handling anyone with that illness or anything near COVID. Yeah. Or even coming to work. So there was a decline of a lot of medical personnel as to not knowing what to do and how to take care of it. And I think we were just lucky that we together and with having brave employees who were willing to take part in making sure that this is the time that we step up and this is the time that we provide medical help for whatever we do know of COVID and not take it for granted. So, that I think was the key part for us.
Yeah, I agree.
That's interesting the way you put that, the locals. That's what I mean. You're going to be a star. We know that. Yeah. You're going to have your own show. I'm going to have an own a show exclusively with you guys. You have to talk about your education there and stuff. But anyway, come join us again.
Yeah.
But that's an important distinction you're making, isn't it? That people trusted you. They knew you in the community. How important is that in furthering community ties and establishing trust? I mean, we live in a period where there's great polarization, and who can we trust anymore, and so on. And the physician is so important. I mean, you're literally dealing with life and death issues here. So, I mean, again, not to bring up my own situation. It was a long time ago, of course, but as a little child, I remember having the croup, and you had your family doctor. I had a family doctor in Queens that came over and spent the night. And so it's so crucial for physicians to be able to do that. And it sounds like that's what you've created here.
Yeah. I found myself to be seeing patients more than they were seeing their own family members. I think we fulfilled that gap of isolation and not being able to see loved ones, to instead having that trust and being there. I remember celebrating birthdays with a lot of the patients, and they said they haven't even seen their mother, because she's an elderly, has medical condition and whatnot. So yeah, it was very touching. I think medicine aside, just the emotional aspect of human need of contact, communication, interaction, we were sort of there to fulfill that need as well.
Interesting. No, of course. And we know about and we've read the degrees of loneliness and depression and increased use of alcohol and drugs and so on, which, is still with us, isn't it? I mean, and there's, of course, talk of increased levels of COVID now going on. Are you noticing that as well?
Yeah, we just did an interview with East Hampton Star, and I think it'll be coming out this week, regarding the high rise of COVID infection and what we as a community should be doing, and if it's something that is of concern. So yes, it is on a rise. We are concerned about it. And we did talk a bit in extensive detail with the local paper just recently.
That comes out tomorrow, doesn't it?
I believe so.
The paper, yeah, Thursday, and
okay.
Not to. I'm going to have a letter in there. This is we'll make a fast little segue or back and forth or whatever, because I want to get into that a little bit with you on this show. I've been writing a few letters. I've been concerned with, we're talking about bringing the community together, and you are both of the Muslim faith, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So I have noticed, the rallies that they've had in Herrick Park recently have been very exclusive and have not included a variety of voices, which has upset me, both as a human being, as an academic. I think it's just unfair. What's going on in the Middle East is very complex. And so let me ask you this. I know you've also been involved in setting up the Islamic Center. How has that been received by the general community and perhaps even your patients?
I think, we were not realizing the importance of having a structure for a religious faith out here, because we have been here for a good 15 years. And after having kids, Lake and Liam, 5 and 7, it just occurred to us that we are driving an hour far to a mosque, and that's only happening maybe once a month, and that's it. So, you know, when we have an idea, I think the best thing is to talk about it and to present it. And I couldn't be more happy and thankful that any step that we had to take in order to facilitate an Islamic center, it was so well received. And despite the popular belief, if there is that, we are looking for diversity. We are looking for acceptance. I think there is so much good out here that people want to see every other faith, race, religion to grow and be at home or feel at home. So we were so thankful. I mean, Unitarian Universalists gave us a spot to rent for Friday prayers. We thought initially that it would only be just about 5 families that are Muslim and would attend a Friday prayer called Jummah. And we ended up seeing anywhere from 10, 15, 20 people to now a Friday prayer would have a congregation of a good 60, 70 people. You want to add about the Eid?
Yeah, we do our Eid every year. There's 2 of them. And the last 3 years we've done them in the Agawam Park right in Southampton Village.
Okay.
8 to 10 in the morning. We've had people that are walking by come and join. Everybody's been very supportive. The town especially, very helpful.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, we're going to be doing a show on the public access here at LTV in East Hampton with you, Asma, as well as 2 rabbis that we both know. And you're still working on the imam that will be able to come join us. So that's what I love to see this. I'm from a mixed background myself. I'm baptized Greek Orthodox. My father's Greek. Actually, his parents came from Eastern, well, what was then Greece, but now is Turkey, Eastern Turkey. Smyrna, Izmir. And I haven't been there, but I've been to Greece. My other side is Russian and Jewish. And so, although I must say my grandfather married someone outside the faith, and of course, my mother and father were outside the faith too, were from different faiths. And so I welcome that diversity. I think it's important to open things up for people. And it bothers me on all sides, well, whatever it is, Christian or Muslim or Jewish, people who just are so closed to the humanity of others. And I think, we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, but I think that would be the minority. I think in my short time.
But they're a vocal minority. They are a vocal minority not only in the Middle East, and in this country too. But hopefully, as you're saying, not in our neck of the woods here,
right? Because
it is maybe it's just so beautiful, and we again living that American dream, and you certainly are good examples of that success. I think that's the key too, for people to be able to find a niche in the society and be happy and productive. And I think that the hatred and the anger and the envy, or whatever you want to call it, comes from the lack of that.
I think, not knowing brings fear. But if you overcome that fear by acknowledging what's happening and understanding the other side, then it really takes the negativity away that does exist in today's world.
Where I grew up, there was no diversity. So it was a very, there was a lot more racism. So out here is extremely accepting compared to there.
South of Cleveland, 2 hours south of Cleveland, Jim, is that
Yep.
where you, in some, I don't know,
Closest
you-
town, Calcutta or Lisbon. We were kind of right between the two.
what was it, Lisbon?
Lisbon or Calcutta.
I thought you said Calcutta, right?
Yeah.
Calcutta, Ohio?
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm not up on the my Ohio State cities there, but okay, Calcutta and Lisbon. Well, I thought you. Okay, well that sounds interesting. It sounds so it's really rural, and the diversity wasn't there. Interesting. So you met you were born in the faith. Is that correct? You did
She
you
was.
convert?
Sorry, are you speaking to Jim or myself?
Wow,
I don't even know where to
no,
look at the camera.
We're back in Calcutta here. No,
Oh, all
we're
right,
talking.
Jim.
We're talking about Jim. So you converted?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I see.
there are no Muslims where I grew up. It was either Catholic or Protestant. That was it. Yeah.
So they could. Yeah, interesting. And if I may, where did your family come from?
Yeah, so I think looking back in
Yes.
time, likely New Delhi, India, and
Uh-huh.
after the partition, Karachi, Pakistan, and
Wow.
I was born there, and my older sister was born in Karachi. And when we were 5 and she was 7, we moved to Florida, and that's where my parents had 3 other children, and we've been there since. So yeah.
Yeah, and your father is a chef.
Oh yeah, big
Well, I had to
time.
get into that, and so you must cook. We're back to the fish again. So you get some terrific fish down there, right? So
Yeah.
he's a master chef, correct?
Yes. So, his family comes from multiple restaurants in Pakistan, bakery. So he comes from the line of work of chef, restaurateur, owner, and he wanted to come to the States and bring those skills here.
Mhm.
And, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that he was the first to establish Indian food in the county of Palm Beach.
Right.
This is probably going back in the 80s. And since then, now there's a good 5, 6 more restaurants, I'm sure. But yeah, so he's a wonderful chef. He's had multiple restaurants. He just recently retired. I
Well,
rented
come on now. No, wait. Get him out of, come on, next summer, let's start. We could always use good restaurants in the Hamptons.
I have a story. Jim will tell you a story about that.
So we rented this office space next to ours with the hope that her dad would come and start a restaurant or like a pop-up shop or something where he can cook out here. And right after we started that, he said, I just want to relax in Florida this year.
Basically, my dad bailed.
Oh, but maybe next, but and we wouldn't have like $50, $60 entrees here. I mean, we just basic home, good food.
That's right.
You're going to meet Barbara, my co-host on the other
Yes,
show,
sure, will do. Yes.
who owned Babette's restaurant
Yes.
for 7 years. So she'd be very interested in hearing about this. Maybe she can
Help influence him.
Yeah, just get him started. Just get the recipes here and stuff.
Well, I have the lease, so I'm stuck with that lease either way. It's just a matter of my dad deciding to come here and give me his summers.
We'll work on that. That would be important. That's important. So I'm thinking here. Actually, just recently, I've had my own a bunch of testing that I've gone to gastroenterology. I've had some renal testing, cardiology, and so on. So at Mount Sinai and a couple other departments and so on. So this is the way of all medicine at this point. But again, getting back to your practice, it seems like you are able to combine your expertise, at least at beginning and moderate levels, to deal with people's issues holistically.
Yeah. So, it's having specialists is important, but
Yes,
having a primary physician who knows how to direct you and facilitate that is as important, if not more.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I think medical system has been in this punted world where instead of addressing reflux, having a medication prescribed and having a 3-month tolerance if the symptoms are changing or not, then giving you a referral to just go directly to a GI specialist, right? So if you internally look at your own medical treatment and think of how many times you've had something abnormal and were directed to a specialist right away.
Yeah.
And that's the broken system. I feel like one has to be very involved in the medical care to determine who and what when to utilize that specialty.
That's really, really, I'm really thinking very profoundly about what you're saying, because I think it's really important. We're too often just shunted aside and sent to people and here and there, and people, the relationship's never established and so on, and you don't really get to know that person. And as you say, right?
Yeah, when the corporate medicine has you meet a quota of 30 patients a day, by default, you will be spending 15 to 20 minutes with a patient. But now the insurances are implementing all the guidelines and meaningful uses that they want you to fulfill. So here, one can imagine going into a doctor's office, the medical assistant is taking your vitals, the nurse is asking you for what's going on, the physician finally comes in, and the last thing that they're doing is on the computer, typing up stuff. But the relationship isn't fully formed as it can be. When we went into medicine, at least for myself, it wasn't so broken. It wasn't so, laptop, type in, send in, versus looking at the patient and getting to know them, getting to know their mom, their dad, their children, their uncles and aunts, because those are the key factors in health that you would have to utilize to bring longevity and proper health care for that individual patient. But, after being trained for 20 plus years and then finally coming out in 2010, then having the system to adhere to, one realizes many years of that training and why this system, this is current system, I feel, isn't the best system that we can have in the United States. You want to add?
There's a lot of rules and steps and check boxes that don't affect patient care in any way, but they affect your reimbursement. So if you don't check all the boxes and you don't put the right word into my operative dictation, then the insurance company can say, we don't want to pay you for anything. So it adds a lot of time doing this.
Unnecessary.
Well, so you're getting to are we talking politically again? The insurance companies are running the show.
Right.
And would the government, would a national health insurance be more of what you two are talking about? At least not as much paperwork, so you can concentrate more on the patient.
Or have more physicians and don't burden them with a quota of meeting 30, 40 patients per day. Slow it down a bit. And the people who are well trained, let them acknowledge the patient and build that rapport. And that part that it was missing is what and where concierge medicine has derived from. It's not my creation. I mean, I may have been the lead out here perhaps, but there are other concierge physicians before me. Mm-hmm. But I know COVID has brought and shed new light to concierge medicine. Unfortunately, it isn't something that can be easily afforded by all, but I wish to see that in a given time. of my lifetime.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned having more physicians. Now, not conspiracy theorists here, but who controls, the enrollments in medical schools? And I mean, isn't that also, in a sense, political?
Well,
Go ahead.
a child's mind, one isn't controlling. If one has decided that they want to be a doctor, right? Like I fell into it because I was exposed by my family, friends, parents, and my oldest sister. She is the one who wanted to be a doctor since she can remember. She led the way, but it was instilled within her to want to do medicine, and she followed that passion of hers, and she is a wonderful physician. But in that process of wanting something, being trained, and then witnessing people working and seeing if the people working are happy or unhappy, are more children of physicians going into medicine, or are they backing off? Will Jim and I, if Lake wants to be a doctor, will we support that, or will we say that the system is not the best, and are we going to maybe redirect? I'm not sure. But so not conspiracy, it's more so the unhappiness of physicians at a certain level that's trickling down to the children who are perhaps being deviated away from wanting to be in medicine. And not only children, people who are in medical school and they are medical grads, they're leaving residencies and do not want to take part in 3-year, 7-year, or 12-year residency program, and they rather just go to PhD program and research.
Research, yes, yeah. When I taught at Yeshiva University, that was what the brightest students were doing. They wanted originally to be pre-med, but that they went to medical research because it was too much hassle, too much. Now, again, if we had a system whereby young people who were able and could do the work had their tuition and expenses paid throughout medical school, free college education, that can happen. That would also, I think, open up the system more to good people being well trained, and not just be, at the whim of some other political forces here. But so the way in which we are training people to view medicine, and I guess it's human life generally, because isn't that the root of it? Because doctors are supposed to be the people that do no harm.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned do no harm, but the harm should not be done on the person presenting the agenda either, which means just take care of people in the medical field, take care of the doctors, take care of the nurses, take care of all personnel that's working, from a technician to the janitor. The healthcare system just has to be a little bit more giving, I feel.
Absolutely. And they're exhausted. I can see that when I go to Mount Sinai. I mean, the physicians, the nurses, they're overwhelmed by the degree of human misery and pain that they experience. And yeah, that's what I'm getting at. You put it much better than I did, to take care of the medical staff as well. They're just overwhelmed.
We don't want to see nurses leaving the hospital job and driving trucks. I'm all for truck drivers, but if someone has a calling and they want to be a nurse or anyone at that field, I say we need to support them. We need to make the field, positive, where they want to come. They're happy coming into work, right?
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah.
Now, Jim, you're, as a specialized trauma surgeon, you're also, are you there basically for emergencies, or what's your role in the practice here?
We have two separate practices, her concierge and my trauma and surgery.
Okay.
So I do outpatient elective general surgery, like hernias and gallbladders and colon resections. And then on my call days at the hospital, I take care of anything that comes in, whether it's an appendix or a ruptured stomach or colon or somebody in a car accident that needs their spleen taken out. The whole gamut, I pretty much take care of whatever they need.
Now, this is at Stony Brook, right? Southampton?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, right. So I've been to that hospital. I know it. And they do a good job. The ambulances that come from East Hampton to Southampton, again, for our audience, we're talking about Route 27 here, a 2-lane highway. So if you get messed up or something happens, a car accident in East Hampton, let alone Montauk, and you've got to like race in these, so that puts you in more of a emergency mode here. You're dealing with people where every minute is so precious.
Yeah. Sometimes I lose that element of time.
I bet.
Most things you don't die from right away. You have plenty of time for me to come and, even a hole in your heart, I can fix a hole in your heart in a few minutes. But sometimes I lose that few minutes in the traffic.
Well, that's good to know. It takes a while to die there. No, all right. No, but strokes.
Yeah, strokes, heart attacks, all those things. Time is of the essence, and sometimes it takes a while just to get to the hospital.
Yeah.
To get started.
So are there plans to expand on what you're doing, to have other offices, perhaps again in East Hampton? I know you were saying you have
We actually initially started with a location in Southampton and a location in Amagansett, but the traffic and for our staff to be diverted in 2 different directions, we chose Bridgehampton as our central location.
There you go.
So expanding aside, most of our work are house calls, and that lets our staff travel in any direction. And our hub being in Bridgehampton, we're able to pick up equipment, travel, and able to provide. And then Jim utilizes the office as well.
Yeah, all of my follow-ups, if you have surgery or in the hospital, then you come see me in the office afterwards, a week or 2 later.
Right. Now, you also, we just have a couple more minutes to go. I just want to get this question in, though. Are you satisfied with some of the secondary sources that you refer people to, mental health or alcohol or drug addiction? You mentioned that at the beginning of the show. Are there adequate facilities and programs and so on that you trust?
It's not enough.
Not enough.
Whatever we have out here, or just nationally, I would say, from a medical standpoint, we don't have enough therapists. We don't have enough addiction or rehab centers. I think patients have been neglecting care from that perspective. And there's so much that the primary physician or even any other specialty physician is able to provide that care. So I think we may be in the pandemic of addiction medicine and mental health that needs to be brought to one of the top priorities in what's missing in our medical system.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I don't do a lot on that aspect.
I see.
But
yeah. Well, listen, we only have a minute more to go. Can you leave us with some of your final thoughts? It's really been a blessing, and I can't wait to see you, meet you, and go to services with you and see your facility as well. So in the last minute we have, just any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'll start. Well, thank you so much for having us over. And, I think what you're doing is great. You're letting the world of Hamptons, because that's a world in itself, know all the people that exist here and how we are servicing one another. And community at large need to be understanding of each other and just being more open-minded, because I think we're all seeking the goodness and positivity, and that is what makes us better, which is not the case in some parts of the world, unfortunately. So I think we're so privileged, we're so blessed to be in this community, and we need to make this even stronger and better.
Amen. Amen, as some of your people in Ohio would say. Jim, you got the last word very fast.
I'm
10
just glad
seconds.
to be here and glad that we got to spend an hour talking.
Thank you so much.
But fast.
It did go by.
Wonderful. I look forward to seeing you both very soon again. And thank you so very, very much again, all of you, for listening to us again on The Radical Imagination. This is Jim Fredos. We'll see you again next week on The Radical Imagination.